Welcome back, everybody. I'm here with Mr. Kevin Swyadek from Ohio EPA. He's going to help us guide, he's going to help guide us through how to become a certified operator in the great state of Ohio. Thank you for joining us, Kevin.
Morning, Sean. It's good to be here.
And what's your role with Ohio EPA?
So my role is I'm the environmental supervisor within operator certification, operations, and resiliency within the Division of Drinking and Groundwater. And what we do is we manage pretty much all of the water and wastewater operator certifications throughout the state. And then on the drinking water side, we do resiliency, cybersecurity. We track operators of record throughout the state, things like that.
Well, you wear many hats.
We do. We
Yeah,
do.
yeah. Well, it sounds like I'm talking to the right person. So this is great. So let's jump right on in. And so before I ask my actual first question, I noticed that you've got these different classes for the water supply, water distribution, water reclamation, and collections certificates. So my channel, I mostly want to focus on the wastewater treatment part of things because that's what my channel is mostly focused on. But would water reclamation be your wastewater certificate?
Correct. So we typically called it wastewater treatment. We just had a rule change, actually went affected here really recently. And a part of that rule change was we updated the change to water reclamation. So all of our certificates now say water reclamation, where previously they always said wastewater treatment.
Got it. Okay, perfect. So that's
Mhm.
that's great. And then somebody just put in the comments that they passed their water reclamation class, whatever, and I was like, I don't know what that is. So now I do. So can you please explain the process of becoming a certified wastewater treatment plant operator in Ohio?
Yeah, so I think Ohio's fairly unique in most states in the fact that, we're looking for two things when somebody submits an application for certification. One, they have to have a passing exam score. And I think what's unique in Ohio is you don't need pre-approval from Ohio to take an exam. So if an operator wanted to take their class one without having any experience, they can certainly do so. We would look for that passing exam score, and then we've got experience requirements that they would have to meet. And that's really the two things that we look for when it comes to certification. But there is no hey, can I apply for a class two or take the exam for a class two or a class three? Essentially, the operators can do that on their own, and then we get their exam scores. And as long as we verify that their experience is correct and they met that requirement, we can go ahead and issue the license.
Okay, and that's wonderful. That's great information. And this is a nuance between California and Ohio is I would imagine your education requirements are high school diploma or equivalent, or is there, yeah, okay.
Correct, correct. Yep, that's actually a federal requirement. So,
Okay.
high school diploma or equivalent
Okay.
is the baseline standard.
Oh, it is. Okay, great. And then my other question is, so in California, even to be an OIT, now in California, you don't have to pass a test to be an OIT. You just get a duty statement from a chief plant operator at a classified plant, and you need your education requirements, which are high school diploma and some credits from taking a Sacramento State course or a WEF course or whatever one of these courses will give you some credits. Do you need anything like that, or is it just high school and your operating experience? Do you need any additional education in Ohio?
No, no, we offer some reductions in experience for post high school education, as long as those degrees are in certain science fields. But no, as long as they have a high school diploma or the equivalent, all you would need is just the experience and
Okay.
the exam score.
Boy, I think a lot of Ohioans would be happy to hear that. That lowers the barrier to entry. I think that's great.
Mhm.
Some of those education points things, especially out here, I answer a lot of questions about, wait, what is the difference between a CEU and an education point? Like it's like, yeah, it's very confusing. So that's great. Now, I notice that you can substitute, like you just mentioned, but I also notice it on the form here. And by the way, everybody, I'm referencing a PDF, and I will maybe go through it. I'll link to it in the description, but I'll also do a screen share and kind of go through this a little later in the video. But I'm noticing that there is an asterisk next to a couple of these classifications, and you can substitute education for experience, like you just said. But is there a table that's really cut and dry, or do I need to would an operator or a prospective operator need to actually contact Ohio EPA and say, this is what I have, what can you give me? Can you kind of clarify that?
I think that the fact sheet that you're referencing probably would take care of 80% of the questions, but we always recommend that, if anybody does have any questions, it's always easier just to give us a call. We'll always call you back within, hopefully the same day, but if not within 24 hours. We don't want somebody to take a course thinking that is going to be substituted for experience on their application, and then we have issues with the application and processing it. So it's a lot easier just to have a 5-minute phone call with us than just to, a lot of times we get just confirmation, hey, I took this course. Is that available for substitution credit? And we can confirm that or not. When it comes to the asterisks that you're referring to, substitution credit is only applicable for our class 2 and 3.
Okay.
So just to kind of bare bone, we have class A, which is our lowest level. That's our very small systems. And then we have class 1, 2, 3, and 4, 4 obviously being the highest. We have a minimum requirement for operating experience, especially for the 1, 2, 3, and 4 of 12 months. So there's no way that you can reduce experience or substitute experience down below 12 months. So you can take all the courses you want, you can have all the degrees you want, but you still need to get experience in a plant or the collection system. That's applicable to class 2s and 3s for substitution credit. It's not applicable for class 1s because 12 months is the requirement for class 1. So since that's already the minimum requirement to get certified, that it's not going to be applicable. And then for our very small systems, there's 2 courses, basic courses that people could take, California State being one of them, your basic wastewater, your basic water, where you could actually reduce experience requirement just by taking that course. But that's kind of a one-off a little bit. That substitution, if you're really going to take some of those courses, those are typically done at the 2 and 3 level.
Gotcha. Okay. And I can speak to Kevin's responsiveness because, out here, and I'm not knocking the water boards. I love you guys. But I sometimes have to wait 2, 3 days for a response. We're in different time zones, but I emailed you, I think, in the evening, and I woke up and checked my email during my coffee, and boom, there was an email from Kevin himself. And I was like, wow, that was fast.
Yeah.
So they're very responsive over there. That's been my experience. So I want to be an operator. I've got nothing. Okay. I've not taken a test. I've not anything. Could I just go to a plant and apply and have them hire me and then I become an OIT? Or tell me how I get to that how do I get that experience? I see I need operating experience for a classification, but how would I get to that experience if I'm not a certified operator?
Mm-hmm. So we have job boards posted on our website. They would typically say entry level, and normally they have some sort of a requirement that you get certified within a certain amount of time. OIT here in Ohio, operator in training, just means that you pass the exam and that you're waiting on the experience requirement. And so there's no certificate to become an OIT. There's no application to become an OIT. It's more of an industry term, just to tell somebody that you actually did pass the exam, but you don't have the experience yet for that license. So, an operator or a potential operator can interview without any experience, without having to take the exam, get hired, and then start working on that actual experience. And then obviously they'll have to test later on. That's certainly an avenue. But like I had mentioned earlier, there is no prerequisite for taking an exam here in Ohio, at least for the A's 1, 2, and 3s. So if somebody wanted to, if the water and wastewater industry was really appealing to them, they can certainly study material to take that exam. And when they go into their job interview, telling them that they're an OIT at whatever level, I'm sure would benefit them.
That was
But
one of
again,
my
it's not required. But I'm sure it's beneficial to utilities.
Well, so that just answered one of my other questions, and I always recommend people out here in California because it's funny out here. It's either super competitive at this utility or nobody's applying at that utility. It's kind of a funny like seems to be no in between.
Right.
And I tell the people that are going for those competitive jobs, it's really, really helpful if you have your education and you're passing grade one
Hmm.
score already
Hmm.
because we've already demonstrated that you can pass the test. There's the
Right.
risk profile of your application just shrunk dramatically. So you would
Right.
say probably, I mean, we can't be guaranteeing anybody anything ever, but one thing you might recommend is it might help people to go in with a passing score on whatever class.
Correct.
Okay, very
Correct.
cool.
Again, not required to just want to foot stomp that, but certainly, having already passed that exam score, I'm sure would look well when going through the interview.
And what are the rules for a non-certified person working in a plant? They're pretty locked down here in California. That's not a thing. Like you can't touch anything until you're at least an OIT. And even when you're an OIT, you're directly supervised. It's pretty highly regulated. So these people that are not yet certified, is there a time limit or is there rules within the plant that you can't have so many of these people that aren't actually holding a certificate for so long? What can you speak to that just a little bit?
Ohio doesn't have any requirement for how many operators that you have that aren't certified. I would say that you know we have operators have 60 months to get their operating experience after taking an exam. So 5 years is a long time. And if you passed your one, your class one, and you just need that 12 months of experience, even working part time, that could uh, would that'd be easy to get, but could be a lot quicker. So all operators have that 60-month time frame where their exam score is still valid. So we don't have a requirement on how many unlicensed people can work, but obviously, just as pretty much anywhere throughout the country, they're working with their utilities and their supervisors and their operators, their licensed operators, in order to get that experience.
Gotcha. So you haven't had issues with people hiring a bunch of people and that aren't certified and they're just letting them work and you haven't had any of that. That's good.
No.
That's good honor
Mm-mm.
system you guys got out there. I've
Mm-hmm.
heard I'm never naming names on my YouTube channel, but I've heard some unsavory stories out here about some people doing things that they shouldn't have been doing in
Well,
like smaller plants.
I don't know how California is, but Ohio's got minimum staffing requirements.
Mhm.
So we track operators of record throughout the state, and then they have to be at the actual plant for a certain amount of time, depending on what their classification is.
Gotcha.
So a lot of times that uncertified operator shadows that operator of record or their supervisor, but obviously the licensed person's the one submitting the reports and things like that.
I see. I see. So say it's a, certain size plant and you require 8 certified operators of this class level. So long as those people are there, all the other people can be there shadowing. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Got it. Okay. That
Right.
that
Yep. Yep.
clarifies that. Very
Yep.
cool.
Our operator of record, designation here is that sole point of contact for that utility, and they can designate as many operator of records as they want. They can have one or they can have four, five, six. It doesn't matter. But we always have somebody designated at a classified utility.
Very cool. Very cool. And so, what happens after that 60 months? Score expires. They need to go take the test again, or what's the rule?
Correct. Yeah. So if they don't have the experience requirement met by that 60 months, then they would just have to retest.
Okay. Now, how do they take the test? So in California, we submit our application to the state water boards, but I
Mhm.
don't think that's the case in Ohio. They don't go through the EPA. They go through how?
Right. So we use a third-party exam provider, WPI, and then they have a proctoring service called PSI, and they provide all the testing locations. We have about 10 testing locations throughout the state, so pretty accessible for people, and they're able to schedule it at whatever time works for them, instead of just having a state exam. So what they would do is they would schedule a WPI exam, Water Professional International exam, through PSI. That's all linked on our website. If anybody has any questions with what site or where to find that site, they can certainly email opser@epa.ohio.gov or give us a call. We'll certainly help them out with that. But pretty much everything is done through PSI's scheduling. So that's how they would do it.
Awesome. And I'll include that in the links in the description, everybody, to all this stuff. And so what's your standard? California kind of has its own thing we do, because we have to be different. But what about, you guys use the ABC standard? Is that right?
Right. Yep. So the standardized exam that WPI has is the exam that we use here in Ohio.
Okay. And do you have any study guides or resources you would recommend people use to prepare for these exams?
Right. And this is a question we get asked quite frequently, because we want people to succeed and be successful on these exams. But there's always going to be a need to know criteria, and there's always going to be reference materials that you would need. All of that information is posted on our website. So if you were to click on, if I wanted a Class 2 Ohio EPA certification in water or wastewater, all you would have to do is click on that link, and it's going to take you to the appropriate need to know for that. The need to know, I foot stomp this quite frequently, but the need to know is going to tell you all the content areas that you need to study. So operations and maintenance, security, lab. It's going to tell you all the actual information that you're going to need to study, and along with that is going to be the reference materials. Obviously there's a lot of publications on water and wastewater, but actual questions themselves are going to come from certain publications, and so those are listed in the reference material. The need to know criteria that is linked on our website actually has the reference materials included in that need to know, so it's an all-in-one document. So what I would recommend is, having that need to know available to you, the reference materials available to you, and you can kind of go through that content areas and really study up.
Okay, cool. Great. And so this might actually double as a water and wastewater video, and I don't have to do a second one. So I'm seeing you've got four different water supply, water distribution, water reclamation collections. So I would have to take four distinct tests for each classification, right? So you would have it's possible to have a Class 3 water reclamation, Class 2 water supply operator. Then,
Correct.
Okay, cool. So, all right, very good. So you can have four. I know in Arizona, when you get your 4 4s, they call them 4x4 operators. I just learned this recently. So that's a thing in Ohio too. You could have four level 4s.
It is. The only caveat I'll say to that is there are certain certificates that supersede others. And what I mean by that is specifically the collections and the distribution. So if you have a Water Reclamation 2 license, then you don't need to get a Collections 1 or 2, because that water reclamation supersedes that collections. Same thing on the water side. If you have a water supply 2, then we would actually invalidate the distribution certificates, because that water supply supersedes them. But we have some instances where somebody may have a water reclamation 1, which is lower, and have a collections 2. That's perfectly fine. But if they're at the same level, then the treatment side of either water or wastewater is going to supersede. But that's kind of nuanced there.
But it makes sense. I mean, I took my drinking water treatment as my very first certificate out here in California, and then I took my distribution after that, and it was like not even close in difficulty level. It was like I took the harder one first, and then I breezed through the distribution. So it does make sense to me. Okay, very good. Do you have any other things you'd like to add that I didn't ask that might help people on their journey to becoming a certified operator in Ohio?
Uh, what I would say is, we always say if you have a question, give us a call. We are not we're willing to help anybody, and we get questions from all over the country. We get obviously questions here. But if you have a question on anything related to staffing or certification or how to submit reports, Ohio EPA is really good about responding back to people really quickly and making sure that they have the answer that they need, because we want them to succeed. We want everybody to succeed. So, if you do have a question on whether your degree counts, hey, I took a course, will that substitute experience? Or I worked at a factory here. Did 10 years ago, did that experience count? All these things can be, quelled, I guess, just by reaching out to us ahead of time, instead of just submitting an application and us just kind of reaching out more and more for more questions. We can always head that off beforehand.
Awesome, Kevin. This has been very enlightening for me. I mean, the reason I reached out and said, "Will you just come on the YouTube channel?" is I was just like asking Kevin questions and then just was like, you know what? I think it'd be more helpful if you just we just recorded this. So, and then I didn't get anything wrong as I did a screen share tutorial. So, everybody, stick around just for a little bit. I'm going to actually go through these websites real quick and show you them. But thank you again, Kevin. I really appreciate you being part of this.
No problem, son. I hope you have a good day.
You too. Hey everybody, that was a really great interview with Kevin. I want to do a couple things before we move on to this screen share tutorial where I'm going to take you through these documents that he and I just talked about. First is, again, thank you, Kevin. That was very gracious of you. Second, if you've gotten anything out of this so far, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and pass this stuff to your friends, and we can help folks get certified. And the third thing is, I've entered into some sort of a collaborative project with Wastewater, and they are also working on PDFs of how-tos. I'm not sure their Ohio one is ready yet, but when it is, I'm going to be linking to their website in the description below. You do have to sign up for a free account in order to access their how-to PDFs for each state. But I just want to be very clear. I'm going to say this every time. They are not paying me to say that. It's just something that we are linking to each other on. You've got to go to their site if you want to see the how-to in the PDF. And then they will also be linking to this video. I believe we'll be linking to this video in their PDF. Again, that's not a paid thing. That's just something we're doing to try to help each other out, because we're kind of doing the same thing at the same time, and we think we can get a greater reach and get this info to more people. Now, having said that, we're going to go see a PDF right now that's pretty succinct for Ohio. Okay, so let's go first and foremost. We're gonna you'll see my search tools here. I've already done some searching, but let's just start with Ohio Wastewater Treatment Plant Operator Certification. Put that in your search engine. We've got some ads. We got to scroll past the sponsored stuff and the AI overview that we didn't ask for. And what you're looking for is the Ohio EPA Certified Operators site, this page on the Ohio EPA website for certified operators. And just go ahead and read through this stuff. It's all important, but what's most important is this link right here that says Learn How to Become a Certified Water or Wastewater Operator. So let's click on that. And here's this PDF, and pretty much I referenced this in the to the interview with Kevin, and I referenced it as we talked to him, and he answered almost every question pretty much every question I had. If you have any other questions, at the very bottom, here's their phone number, 866-411-6728, or opcert@epa.ohio.gov. They're very, very helpful folks, very easy to talk to, okay? So let's start with eligibility. He's already talked to us about what that is, and that's just high school diploma and your operating experience in order to become certified, but you don't need that to take the test. And you also don't need education experience to take the test, which is pretty cool. Now, having said that, you're going to want to go ahead and study because this is specialized knowledge. This isn't general stuff you learned in high school. So you're going to need to reference something. Now, there's a lot of information on these two pages about the third-party exams and some links. We're actually going to go to a page that has all this on it again, and we're going to use that as our springboard for the exam. But before we move on to that, I do want to scroll down here to what operating experience means. You're going to want to talk to your operators in charge or your chief plant operator or your shift supervisor, because they are the ones that are going to be signing off on your operating experience. But this tells you what counts and does not count as operating experience towards your certification. And again, if you have any questions, the EPA is there to help you. So let's scroll back up to this table here that says classification and operating experience. You got the different classes and you've got the different requirements. And then if you look in this little blurb down here, you're going to see a hyperlink to Ohio EPA exam information. Let's click on that. And we're going to go ahead and open this site to everything you need to know about taking the exam. So go ahead and read everything on this page, but I'm just going to hit some highlights real quick and try to keep this brief. First, you have the required training. You have got to do this in order to take the exam. Well, I don't know if it's to take the exam, but certainly before you sign any operator certification application, you have to do this. Now, here's my guess. Never having worked in Ohio or never planning to ever work in Ohio, if I was going to take an Ohio exam, I would read this first. Because if it's required training, I'd be willing to bet you're going to run into a few questions on your exam. Can't guarantee that, not for sure, but if I were a betting man, I would say, yeah, I would definitely understand this document before you went in and did your exam, okay? Next, if you scroll down, you'll see third-party exam provider information and reference material. You'll see find current and out-of-state testing locations. Okay, very Ohio-specific stuff going on here. Instructions to schedule your PSI exam. Remember, WPI administers it. Sorry, WPI, Water Professionals International, administers it through the PSI portal here. Okay, so there's these are the instructions that Ohio put together on how to schedule the exam. But if you go right here and to schedule through WPI, it will take you to the PSI website. And here, I mean, it can't get easier than this. To apply, to take your test, boom. It's all right there. Sign in and create the account. You can click this link. And there you go. Create your account. Get registered. Get that ball rolling. Okay, you say you pass your exam. You've got to apply for certification after passing right here. This is the tutorial that EPA has put together for you to do that. Go ahead and go through that, but let's focus more on passing this test first, okay? Because what we skipped was, how do I prepare for the exam, all right? Let's scroll down here. You're gonna see WPI and ABC reference material for the 4 disciplines right there, okay? But come down here and you're gonna see WPI need to know criteria, okay? Drop this down and you're gonna see classes A through 3, and the different disciplines for those classes on what you might be doing and what you need to know for those tests. Now, Class 4 is in a league of its own, it appears, and I would argue that nobody getting ready to take their Class 4 in Ohio is watching this tutorial. My guess is you already know the drill, and you don't need to watch this because you've navigated this. I'm going to focus on the Class A's and 1s here. So real quick, we're just going to go to the Class 1 water reclamation. Remember, that's now wastewater treatment. They call it water reclamation now in Ohio. They actually on the document still have wastewater treatment. Oops, didn't mean to click that. Go ahead and scroll through, read all this, understand it. It gives you how many questions there are, how many questions are going to be on what particular thing, you know, and it's really great. But this is a very broad overview, okay? And it's for each and every one. So go ahead and go through that and understand that. But scroll down a little further and you're going to see training and experience credit. So let's click on this. You got free Class A water operator training and wastewater operator training. That's great. Probably if you're going for your Class 1, I would recommend going through that anyway, just so even if you're not going for your Class A, just so you kind of get, you know, your feet underneath you and understand what's going on. But right here is, I think, the big kicker, courses and experience credit. Let's click on that. Here you've got the California State University Sacramento correspondence courses. Remember, these are remote. You don't have to go to Sacramento, California to take these. You do it all online. And you know, if you're going into wastewater, I'll direct you here. Operation of wastewater treatment plants, Volume 1 is where you start. And how do you access this? There's a website right here, owp.csus.edu. If you click on that link, Office of Water Programs, operator training, find a course. If you scroll down, you'll see operator training right here. Our operator training develops blah, blah, blah. I bet you if we click on that link, it'll take you to the correspondence courses. Here they are, and there's wastewater. But if you back up and just keep scrolling down, popular courses, there's the 2 most popular courses. If you're getting into wastewater, there you go. If you're getting into drinking water, There you go. Treatment, if you're getting into distribution, there you go. So it doesn't get much more straightforward than that. Another thing you could do if you kind of got lost in this part, you could always just plop open your search engine and go to Sacramento State University Office of Water Programs Wastewater. Click on that, scroll down, click on wastewater courses on your search results, and boom, look at all these wastewater resources for your tests and for your general education. Start here with wastewater treatment plants, volume 1, if you're doing wastewater, of course. And then volume 2, I would say probably still do that anyway. And then some other great resources. Another good one that's industry standard type stuff is WEF, Water Environment Federation, I want to say. Yeah. I don't use them, but I use Sac State, but these are great resources too. If you go to their website, go to the events in education, you see online courses right here, skills builder operator training quizzes, books and study materials, CEUs. It's really a great resource. And of course my channel and Roy CEU, and there's other YouTube channels out there and podcasts. There's a lot of people out there trying to help. Always take, I would be considered a secondary source. Sacramento State and WEF would be considered a primary source, meaning if you get something from me, always make sure that you check like my stuff that I'm telling you against your actual study material, because we instructors sometimes can make mistakes, and I always just want to make sure that people are getting industry standard information. So WEF and Sac State are going to be your big ones there. Okay, that about wraps it up. If you have any questions, like I said, EPA, ask them. They're going to be the ones. If you've got anything to add, if you're an Ohio operator and you think you want to throw some tips out there that Kevin and I didn't cover, or this tutorial on the Screenshare didn't cover, please plop it in the links below. And yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for sticking around. And one more time, thank you very much, Kevin. Have a great day, everybody.